Hey, welcome to Flight Test. My name is Alex and this is Stefan.
What's up, guys?
And we got some goggles here. Past year, there's been a lot of new goggles that have come out onto the market, and there's a lot of companies like Zeiss and Headplay, and they have one product. Fat Shark, however, they're one of the few companies that actually have a whole line of different products. We actually recently started carrying these four on our store. We've been getting a lot of questions from you guys. What's the difference?
Yeah, and we'll go through each one individually, but we'll hit the main points as we go through.
The big things that you want to look for when you're looking at goggles is obviously cost. That's a big factor. Resolution of the little screens inside the goggles that you're going to be looking at.
Right.
Head tracking is another feature. A big one that you've seen on more and more goggles as of recently is DVR. In other words, video recording. So you can actually record the video downlink, which is pretty cool. Some of the cheaper models don't have a feature that's called IPD, which stands for
interpupillary distance.
And basically what that means is everybody's eyes is different. I've got a big head, so my eyes are pretty spaced apart. Some people have real close eyes together, and but you use these little things here to move the screens to your eyes, and it helps a little bit just keep everything in focus on the screen. And as you can see on the teleporters, it doesn't have that. The first thing is cost, and we have these ones lined up in order of cost, starting here. Teleporter V5s, then you move up to the Attitude. These are the version 3s, and then here we have the Dominator V3s, not the HDs, just the regular Dominator V3, and then we have the Dominator HDs, which are the big ones, and these are also very popular. Quite a few differences when you start from the teleporters all the way up to the Dominator HDs. The big difference you'll see is resolution. Start down here, you're gonna have a lot less pixels in the screen that you're looking at inside of the goggles, so therefore you're not gonna have as much detail.
When I was using these the other day, I could really tell that the image was just not as clear. It felt further away, and it was really an overall very different flight experience than I had with the Attitude V3s.
Part of the reason why is not only the resolution is less, but also they have a different field of view, and you'll see this spec a lot when you're looking at goggles. They'll say it has like a 30-degree field of view, and basically what that means, how far away, so if this is your eyeball and this is the screen, it's how far away it is from your eyes from the screen. So you're either looking at a screen like that, it's a big screen right in front of you, or you're looking at a screen that looks like it's way off in the distance. Kind of the teleporters do have a smaller one, so it kind of feels like you're sitting in a movie theater and the screen's really far away. Whereas you go into these higher end models, you actually have to look around because it feels like the screen's right in front of you and it's very big. So it's a little bit more immersive when you have a wider field of view. You actually have to use your eye a little bit.
And that's exactly how I felt.
Another reason why the image might not have seemed as clear is because it didn't have those little IPD controls.
Right.
Because if it's not dead on in your eye, it's going to be a little bit blurry. It'll seem like it's out of focus.
A little cloudy maybe as well.
So other than that, you might notice that these two teleporters and the Attitude V3s, these two both have antennas.
Right.
And the reason why is because inside they actually come with a 5.8 module, yes. These ones, even though they are more expensive, they do not come with a module, which is kind of a bummer.
That is a bummer.
And there are people out there who have specific things that they want. They might want to run a 1.3 setup or something more for long range.
Okay.
But typically most people that you see flying FPV these days are flying 5.8 if you're doing like mini quads or airplane FPV, that kind of stuff. But the nice thing is too, with these 3, they actually have, you can take it out, so you can change it. This one does come with a 5.8, but if you wanted to get a module to do 1.3 or do some long range stuff, you have the capability to do so. Now the other big thing that the Dominators have that these two do not have is a DVR. And basically when you're receiving your signal and you're watching it, you can hit record on here and it actually records the downlink, which is pretty cool. Now this isn't like GoPro footage or anything like that. It's very low resolution. It's just like what you see in the goggles, and you do, if you get a little signal breakup, it records all that.
Okay.
So it's by no means like an action camera, but it is really good, especially if you're flying. We did our Tiny Whoop video,
right?
And those little things, obviously, they're so small, you're not going to be carrying an HD camera. So this is the best you're going to get, and you can record it right there. Another good thing is if you crash and you lose all your footage from your GoPro, this is a nice backup to have, so you still have flight footage.
Another thing, when you crash, you can see and you can rewind it back and see where you landed.
Yeah, you can actually play back on both of these through the goggles, or you can pop that memory card out and put it into your computer and view there, which is pretty cool. So we actually got the opportunity, we went over to Europe. We spent some time with Immersion RC and also Greg French, who is the founder of Fat Shark.
Okay.
And just recently, Josh went on a business trip over to China, and he actually got to see where these things were manufactured. One of the things he told me that he was really blown blown away with was their quality assurance. They test every single Fat Shark goggle that they sell, and each one of them comes with this little card that's in the box, says what date it passed the test, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
All right, so let's do a quick recap.
All right.
We have the 4 goggles. They're all available on the store. First off, if you've flown FPV but you've used a monitor in the past, I think a reason why you might want to look into getting a goggle is because it's a lot more immersive experience.
Right.
You aren't seeing anything but what the camera on your quad sees. It's like you're sitting in a movie theater. It's as close to real flying as you can get. Whereas if you're using a monitor, it still works and it's actually really good for certain scenarios, but you're seeing all the background stuff. It is nice because you can switch between line of sight, but when you put those goggles on, it's like you're sitting in the cockpit.
Right.
So let's do a quick recap. We had the Teleporter V5s, and it comes with a 5.8 module, and right out of the box, it's a good entry-level goggle for somebody who's never owned a pair before and just wants to see what it's like. Has all the standard features of all the Fat Sharks, but no DVR, doesn't have any IPD controls. So you might want to see if you could find a friend who has them, or go to if you have a hobby shop that sells them, you might want to try them on before, because if you have like really spaced out eyeballs, they may be, it may actually hurt your eyes a little bit.
Okay.
Whereas on the Attitude V3s, the next step up, these do have the IPD adjustments. This is another thing we didn't mention earlier. It does have the full face mask, where these are more like swimming goggles, the eye cups. These have a foam padded insert, which is nice, and also you can hook your battery balance lead right into there, and it turns on this little ventilation fan.
Okay.
For those of you who aren't familiar with goggles, when you're flying in the summer when it's real hot, or even in the winter, anytime where you take your goggles through a nice air condition out into the heat, humidity, your goggles will fog up. This little vent fan helps prevent that, and that's on both the Dominator models as well.
And that can really help your flight experience as well. I mean, if you can't see, you're gonna run into things.
Yep. So again, no DVR on this one, so you can't record your flights. It does come with a 5.8 module that is replaceable, so you could customize it later. Moving up to the Dominator V3s, it does not come with a module. If you buy these, you do have to get a module. They're not expensive. I think they start anywhere in the $15, $20 price range.
Right.
And there's aftermarket custom ones that you can get, which give you all kinds of on-screen displays and all kinds of cool functionality, but you do need to get one separately. This does have a DVR, so you can record your flights on the micro SD card. Has the ventilation fan just like the Attitude V3s, and it has one thing I didn't mention on it is both of these have pretty high resolution screens for FPV goggles.
Okay.
One thing that a lot of people don't know about these ones, the Dominator V3s, is that the screens inside of these goggles are a 16:9 aspect ratio.
Okay.
So in other words, it's the same shape as your TV at home on your wall. It's widescreen, it's a rectangle. And that's actually kind of nice. It looks real nice and
cinematic.
Cinematic, that's the word. The problem is that almost all board cameras that you're using on most FPV stuff is displaying at a 4:3 aspect ratio. So it's more of a square. But when you take that 4:3 aspect ratio and pump it through these 16:9 screens, it kind of shrinks everything down and makes everything kind of short and stubby. It distorts the image just a little bit. It's still flyable. I know tons of people who fly that way, and it doesn't bother them, but all of these other goggles, even though they have different resolution screens, they're all 4:3 aspect ratio.
Now, would it be different if you had a 6:9 board or 16:9 board camera?
Yeah, if you could find one. I personally haven't ever seen one. If there is one that exists out there, let us know in the comments.
Right.
Because we would like to check it out. The reason why I think that Fat Shark has these is for people who are doing stuff like aerial videography. I know this does have HDMI in, so you could hook up like a Phantom to it. Those cinematic quads, those all shoot through the video camera, and it's displaying at a 16:9 aspect ratio. So I'm guessing that's why they did that, unless they just had a big stockpile of 16:9 little screens and they needed to get rid of them.
That could be.
Could be.
Who knows?
So that's the Dominator V3s at a $350 price range. So lastly, we have the Dominator HDs, which are the king of the mountain.
And those are the version 2s, right?
Version 2s, yes. They have the widest field of view out of all the goggles, which is pretty cool. It's 50 degrees. It has an 800x600 resolution screen, and it's a 4:3 aspect ratio, so you're not going to get any distortion when you're using your typical board cameras. It does not come with a module, so you need to get that separately. It has a ventilation fan, and it has a DVR. and it also has the IPD adjustments right there, which is pretty nice. So personally, and this is just my personal opinion, as far as like all these crazy features, the most important one to me is your field of view. Basically all that means is the field of view, the bigger the screen, the better. With this one, with a 50-degree field of view, you're gonna get a lot more immersive experience.
Okay.
But that's not to say that these are not immersive, especially if you've never looked into Dominator HDs.
Right.
Tough thing is once you get used to using something like this, it's hard to go back. But I know me personally, I actually have them right here. I've had these for 4 years. These are the Attitude V1s. This is the newer version of that.
Okay.
I've got a couple sunspots on the screens. If you guys aren't familiar with goggles, you never want to hold this eye cup up to the sun because it burns the little LCD screen in there. And these still work great. 4 years old, and I paid $350 back when I got these, and they're still working to this day, and they work really, really well.
And this one's got a faceplate and a fan.
Yeah, they've updated it quite a bit, and the module on this one is removable. On this one, I don't think it is.
Not. Okay.
But the big thing is this, instead of the eye cups, moving to this. This is a real nice
Faceplate.
feature.
Yeah, because you can just slide it down.
Yep.
And be good to go.
Just a little bit more comfortable in my opinion too, but it's all personal preference.
Yeah. As you can tell, there's a lot of different options out there, and that's why we wanted to give you an insight on what may be best for you as far as your costs, your resolution, your display, all of those different features. And at the end of the day, it's what's best for you, right?
Yeah. And we want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video, share it. And again, these Fat Shark goggles, they're available on our store right now. So if you are in the market, or if you know somebody who's looking for goggles, send them this video and send them a link to our store. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching.